So, guys, we're back.
We're back.
Not for long.
Well, I think we felt we needed to do this last episode.
Oh yeah.
What
It's been
what
cooking.
kind of like Dark Souls podcast would it be if we didn't talk about the last DLC to come out? I mean, come on.
Yeah, we wouldn't be holding up our end of the deal here. We have to discuss it.
Yes, otherwise a victory would not be achieved, and we don't want that.
Or heart stolen, as what would have happened.
Right, let's begin. Welcome to Victory Achieved podcast. I'm Dan, and I'm with Brandon and Chris.
Did you nearly forget my name?
No, I did not. I was like, should I introduce you both in a different way? And then I just kind of didn't. All right, here is Consort Chris and
Nicolester Brandon.
the Lord of the Frenzied Brandon. I don't know. I don't know.
Sometimes I can get a bit
Or-
frenzied with my life. Yeah,
Or
I'm down for that.
instead of Bale, it could be Brandon.
Curse
you,
you.
Brandon.
No, you curse you, Dan. You've got the closest, closest thing to it.
I don't know. Well, it's been a hot minute. How have you guys been?
It's too hot here. I'm too sweaty. Stop it.
Is it still hot where you are? With ours is really
Yes.
starting to mild down now a
I was
bit.
about to say it's mild here, even though
Yeah.
although we're all in the same shire in UK. It's like, I don't know. To be fair, I do have all my windows open.
I'm in a closed room, curtains drawn to embrace the non-existent sunlight. It's good.
And I'm in a disclosed location, which I won't tell you.
I know where you live.
This is true.
I don't.
You're not missing much.
We have to do it. Shadow of the Erdtree, the newest the newest addition to the FromSoft collection of glorious DLCs. If you
I
were
was
to sum up-
going to say it's like the newest ending. It's not really much of an introduction, nearly, is it?
well, I say introduction to the DLCs because it's not the last DLC they're ever going to release. They're going to release
No.
new games with more DLCs and whatnot.
Yeah. Well,
So how would you summarize it?
I was going to
Yeah.
say before we get into that, what have you guys been up to since our
okay.
last podcast episode?
Fuck all, just Elden Ring.
Work, gym, and streaming in that order.
Well, I know I went to Japan. That was amazing.
Yeah, talk about that.
If anyone who's listening is interested in my pictures, they're on my Instagram. Yeah, it was the best trip of my life, and I want to go again. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't need to don't need to go into too much detail. Other than
It
that,
didn't look like a good gaff. It did. It really did.
yeah. Other than that, life. Been busy working. Been gaming every now and then.
Actually, I just remembered something I have been doing.
Oh, what's that?
So obviously the main theme of today is going to be Shadow of the Erdtree. But when the cinematic trailers started to release, I was like, right, I'm going to set myself the goal. I'm going to get a platinum on all of the From Software games I own. So going to start off on Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and then that would be my collection, and Demon Souls. Then that would be my whole sort of collection up until Elden Ring. I did Dark Souls 1. That took me... I was going at my own pace. I wasn't trying to take the piss or anything, but I think that took me just, maybe a week or so. Dark Souls 2 took me a goddamn while. I really did. And then, obviously, by the time I got it, because of my PhD stuff and time constraints, I couldn't really get much further than that. And then Shadow of the Erdtree came about and stole 160 hours of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've only got the platinum for Elden Ring. I'm planning to try and get the platinum for Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1, but we'll see.
Bloodborne is a fair platinum. Dark Souls 2 it gets a bit ridiculous in something like the Dark Souls because you have to go through new game like three
Yeah.
times to basically get everything you need. And Dark
Yeah,
Souls 1
to
is
get-
very punishing for the farming like Titanites to upgrade certain weapon classes to the max. That took ages.
I find with the original Dark Souls trilogy, the worst one in everyone is the same one, which is get all the rings.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the one I saw on my Dark Souls 3 list. So my Dark Souls 3 list is get all the spells. So I'm like, right, if that's the case, I'm just gonna do a spell build and then get all the rings. The other one I don't like is get all the gestures. That could because a lot of those are missable, which can be a problem.
I didn't even realise that you got a gesture for fighting the final boss in
Neither
Elden
did
Ring. Elden
Neither
Ring
did
DLC. I died and it was like, you've got a gesture. I was like, oh, okay.
Imagine if that was the gesture holding you back for the platinum.
Yeah. How have things been with you, Chris? Anything interesting?
Oh, well, my Twitch channel is growing, which is very nice. I've been focusing a bit more on my YouTube, doing like minor to like edited videos that I've been doing offline, like without a script, just like a let's play kind of thing. A bit like Pro Java Plays, if you ever watched that. Otherwise, my work life is changed slightly because our manager left, so I'm doing more work. Currently, we're out of terms, so I haven't got as many hours. So if I'm not working, then I'm trying to just like do the gym or hit Twitch or hit some drums because I've been doing that as well, as and when. But I can only do that whenever like the house is empty and the next door's pissed off. So not as much as I'd like to. But yeah, I'm just basically just keeping fit and saving money, and that's going well. So I've got no real complaints.
Yeah, I'm doing the National Free Peaks again at the end of the month, and as Brandon can confirm, my legs are beefy these days.
You did get a compliment when we went to the pub.
Yeah, I think since then I've been like, I think I need to work on my upper body. So I've been actually weight training my arms and my upper body, but my legs are bulky as hell.
I do find, I don't know if you're the same, Chris, with the gym and stuff, but there are certain parts of your body which are just so easy to miss.
Yeah, I kind of like do the same thing because I've got my own gym at home. So I've got like a multi gym, so I do some weights on them. I do a few free weights, and I do like 45 minutes to an hour and a half running on the treadmill per session. So about a couple of hours nearly daily. So I'm getting there. I'm a bit more toned. I've never really been flabby or fat, but I've never been like super molded. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't like I can handle myself a bit better than I used to.
You're still a tasty treat, Chris.
Thanks very much. But what flavour? I've always fancied strawberry myself.
Nice and spicy knickknacks.
I thought I'd veered more into the sort of pickled and onion monster munch sort of.
Well, I guess there's not much more to say. Shall we get into it?
Yes.
The whole point, we're back.
How would you summarise it?
Shadow of the Erdtree.
It's more Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It is literally a whole Elden Ring.
It's more of the same. It's amazing, but it's more of the same. And I would say a lot of the cons of the base game are in full swing in the DLC, but it's still amazing.
I do wonder though, because also they brought in the new scaling system with the spirit ashes and the shadow tree fragments. I don't know really how I feel about those. Obviously, they're there just because the difficulty of the DLC sort of scales and actually sort of explore more. But did they really need it? Because like obviously it's mainly there because a lot of the stuff did get quite tuned, and it's there to sort of give players a sort of an advantage or some sort of reward for exploring and finding them to make bosses and just the general gameplay a bit easier.
I kind of like how it does it because it doesn't matter really what level you enter it in or what your build is.
Yeah.
On the swing side, it makes me feel like I'm playing it like I do every other like Elden Ring thing, like challenge, which is run around the entire map and collect everything before you even start. So
yeah.
But whereas you used to do that with your sacred tears and your flasks, like now you just do the same for fragments.
Yeah.
I think one of the good things about it, if you compare it to the base game, is with the base game, once you've played through it once, if you restart doing your character, you're like, well, I don't need to explore all these dungeons and all these places. If I'm going to go for this build, I just go to these dungeons, get these items, then do each of the big bosses, get to the capital, right, there you go. And a lot of the bosses you're not gonna fight because it's like I've beaten them. I don't even need to get that item or whatever. I don't even need to do that if I'm just beating this game. It's like, oh shit, I just forgot what I was gonna say. So it means like exploration is not that needed. Whereas the DLC, because of all the fragments, you are more interested in going, oh, let's go around the map and try and find them all, because by exploring I can find stuff. It doesn't matter what build I am to help my playthrough through this DLC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like certain equipment, for example, like off the top of my head, you can get like the fire resistance talisman. It's like, well, why do a dungeon to get that when I can just go and grab the +4 variant experience as sitting there out in the open in the DLC.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, you gotta remember we've played this a lot already. So, and to get here, it's quite late game.
Yeah.
So even to get to Mogan, that you're still gonna have a fight on your hands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is why it's a bit hard for us to compare it to the base game, because we've all got a lot of experience with this and we've played it through multiple times. But if this was like your first playthrough, like your first experience, and then you've got the DLC straight away, I don't know how you'd feel about it.
Yeah.
I think.
So yes, how should we go about with the DLC? Do we go bit by bit or just talk about it? What do you want to do?
I think maybe bit by bit, and if we branch out, there we go.
So I did some bullet points personally. I don't know if you want to go that way, like best area, worst area, best boss, worst boss, like just the well designed, the story.
I've done a bit. I've done more just my pros and cons. I probably should have done a mixed, because some of my pros and cons are the same thing, because it's like, oh, this is good, but also, it's a bit.
Yeah, they're like, any problems are like inherent to the game anyway.
Yeah, because like the fragments is both a pro and a con for me. Because there's things I like about it, and also other things I don't like about it, because because of it exists at the same time. So I don't know. Chris, you pick a subject and we'll roll from there.
All right, then. So when I first played this, I did a live playthrough first, like a challenge run, where I only used equipment in the DLC. So I'll suppose my first question is, of the new equipment you found, like new weapons, new armor, what did you use? What was your go-to? Did you really find anything useful?
Rellana's twin swords. Oh.
I use nothing. I just use base game stuff until today for the final boss. Other than that, I just use base game stuff.
See, my mentality is, I'm paying for this new stuff. I'm going to damn well use it. So I pretty much everything I found, like straight away, I was like, oh, let's give this a quick try. What's this? And was massively underwhelmed by most of it.
I think I made this one of my things I've wrote is like, there's loads of really cool items and armor and weapons, but if you've beaten the game and by the time you get here, it feels like they feel redundant for endgame. Especially like loads of the spirit ashes, unless you're not using mimic tier, it's like
yeah. I went out my way to get like the best spirit ashes in the DLC, and they still don't know hold a candle to the mimic tier.
I know. It's just.
I was really disappointed.
I like. There's loads of cool talismans, and I was just like, oh, this is really cool. But then it's like, I'm on endgame. Like, it kind of just doesn't fit. Like, it would have been nicer if that, some of those talismans were in the base game, so you had the majority of the base game to use them. But there was a lot of really cool weapons, like Milady. I've seen like videos talking about that light grey sword in detail. It's really cool.
Yeah, I did like the addition of like the swords where as soon as you go to two-hand, you're just straight away dual wielding. That's like a nice addition, and the fact light great swords is just a nice addition. I didn't really dabble into it, but like just throwing weapons in general got a nice boost.
You also got the thrusting shields that were pretty cool.
Yes, so there is like quite a few like nice cool new additions in terms of bits of gear you got. It's again, that's that same thing of like, you're so late into the game, it's just like you're so settled into what you want to do, unless you do, i.e. what me and Chris did, and like actually dabble into the DLC stuff, you're probably not really going to give them a go.
And I think that, like, for me, I had my build, I was pretty comfortable with it, and I was like, well, if I find anything, sure, use it. And I just didn't I dabbled for a little bit, but I was like, it's not better than what I'm using from the base game. Like,
yeah, I was that same for the most part, because I was using the Tree Sentinel Halberd. And I was just using that for literally everything all the way up until Rellana, and then I was like swapping between the Golden Halberd and Rellana's twin swords. But the Golden Halberd is what I used pretty much for 99% of the DLC. But Rellana's twin swords were so fun.
Personally, I use the Anvil Great Hammer. I really like that. split fire and just like blunt damage, but it did a fuck ton of damage. I kind of had the same satisfaction I did with my original build, where I was using like two-handed greatsword, two-handed hammers. Like, some bosses just absolutely melted under it. It just stun locked again. And again, if you've got the mimic tier, then you win.
Yeah,
and it's easy to get to some later bosses, and they don't give a shit. But there are some interesting like armor sets as well. There's the two ones that stick out to me are the Rakshasa set. I think I've butchered the pronunciation of that.
Shasha.
Yeah.
Rakshasha. Yeah, that's an armor set which has fairly decent defense, but you actually take more damage, but you deal out more damage. So it's a whole risk reward thing.
I didn't realise that.
And the other set, which is for all the heavy characters, mine included, with my big hammer, is a Vidigris set, which is basically the new Havel armor.
Yeah, its defense is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
It's stupidly like heavy. Even with like level was it 250 character, I went to use it. It's like, right, I actually need more endurance. What the hell?
You need like the Erdtree favor. You need the top tier just to try and like increase your max capacity for weight. There's no way you're light rolling in that. No way at all.
Because I used it for the final DLC boss, and I had like 50 endurance, and I was like, oh, I have to use another larval tier so that I can use this.
Yeah, otherwise you'll just be one big fat bastard.
Yeah. No, I know that is like is very similar to the goat armor you get in the base game, which I didn't know existed until like the other week, and I was like, oh, how do you get this? Volcano Manor assassination. I was like, oh, anyway. Because I killed Rykar, so I'm like, whatever. So
here's a thing though. This armor set, like, it kind of makes the other ones redundant because it's like the same trade-off, like heavy but better defense.
Yeah.
But the goat armor is very easy to miss if you don't do the storyline.
Yeah.
Which I found in one of my playthroughs because I was like, I wanted that.
And the
now
wolf
I can't
armor.
have it.
The wolf armor,
Yeah,
is
the
like
wolf
the
armor as well.
iconic Elden Ring armor, is also Volcano Manor assassinations. I didn't even realise that either. So I was like,
Yeah.
can't even get
But
that.
Yeah, but this is like the trade-off for it. It's like, you're fucked down to it, but you can still get a better one. Like, to my knowledge, there's no way you can screw it up. You can get it regardless. Like.
I quite like the Armor of Solitude. I think that's quite cool armor, which is I think it was like one of the first big bosses, not big bosses, but one of the first bosses people were trying to beat and couldn't beat. I remember I saw a Google News article. It was like, people keep dying on this boss. I was like, okay.
It's like, guys, have you not learned anything about Dark Souls level design? It's the beginner's trap. It's the first boss you see and go, let's go fight that. And go, no, I shouldn't have done that. I'll probably come back later.
One of the other reasons why I do like that boss, and kind of the name of the armor being Solitude, and the fact that that boss uses the new crossbow, is I think it is a nod to Guts from Berserk. There's a couple of characters who are a nod to Guts. Blythe is one. But I think this one is another nod, but more to the Black Swordsman arc of Berserk, because there he uses his crossbow a lot, and it's before the Berserker armor, and even like the Armor of Solitude is where in the Black Swordsman arc, Guts is very much on his own. He's very much not having people with him. So when I saw it and I saw the weapon and I saw the armor, the name of the armor, I thought it might have been a nod to Berserk. Another one out of the over 20 plus nods to Berserk in Elden Ring alone. But
So that's weapons, that's armor. What about your new Wondrous Physics tiers? Did you use any new ones?
Not really. I don't really use the physics. I don't know why. I think the one I use the most is maybe the damage negation one, where basically you get like a get out of jail free card. I think that's the only one I really used.
I believe one of the new crystal tiers, I can't remember which one it's called, but it brings in a mechanic from Sekiro, and I think I saw a few people say, like, you could tell that they kind of wanted to put this as a mechanic in the game, but they've just put it as a Wondrous Physic crystal tier instead.
Yeah, that's the deflecting tier. That's kind of like the reason that it's the first one you get if you kill the wandering furnace things whose name I forget.
Furnace Golem.
That's the one.
I still got 2 furnace golems to kill.
I was a little underwhelmed with some of them because I killed them. I got the Thunder's physical an item from him. I was like, I'm never going to use that.
Yeah.
There was one I did use for a bit because it's sort of worked with my build a bit, and that's is it the Crack Bloodstoke one?
I was about to say,
it's basically like gives you health back when you hit things. So I used that for a bit, which was all right. Again, it's for fast melee builds. It's pretty good. But in the end, I just ended up switching back to my normal ones, which were just like ones that just they regenerate more health and I think the extra stamina is pretty much what I have in every playthrough. It's like the HP regeneration is like minimal, but it can save your arse if you got in like a long grab animation or something, or you get hit by something, but you just survive because your health just regenerated like 1 HP back. And that happened quite a lot, so I do recommend.
What about any spells did you use? Or
honestly,
I was used just a general strength/dex build. Didn't do any.
yeah, I used a strength build and a sort of pyromancer build to do the separate characters. But honestly, I didn't really use any spells. The ones I did try, massively underwhelming, and I think a lot of people thought that as well. The one spell I did want to try out, because I did use a magic user at one point when I respect. I remember glint blades in the base game are pretty good, and there's one that's like a triple variant. I was like, oh, I'll try that. I mean, there's 3 of them. It's a DLC. It'll be better, right? No, it's like it fires 3 blades. Yeah, but they don't even do like a third of damage as a normal one does. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Just less damage for more FP. Like, I think these need rebalancing, and I know they have patched the game a couple of times since I played it last.
Yeah, I've done quite a few.
I played it on day 1, so some of them are awful.
Yeah, I did most. I think I did about a third. I think I did about a third of the DLC before the first patch. I did the rest of the DLC on the second after that patch, and then what I've done today was on the newest patch. So, but I don't know if I think what the what the new new patch buff or did probably didn't affect me at all. Don't think it affected not one bit, because it like buffed all the spirit summons except Mimic Tier. So don't think there was anything that it did. So
I mean, there was the spell which basically like rained fire, and that should have been amazing. I think it is decent now, but again, at the start it was just pitiful damage, and it really shouldn't have
given it more of a go if I actually had like a spell build to begin with, because it's just so much effort having to like, okay, I've got this new spell, okay, I need to respec, but there's only like so many level tiers you can get. I didn't really want to keep going to and from builds just to try new things. So the next time I'm going through the game, I'm playing like a bow only build, so it'd be nice to actually just experience all the different bows that are on offer this time around.
Yeah.
The few characters I did it with were like old challenge run characters, but obviously they were higher level, so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll run with that. But the thing is, some of those were like 2 years ago. So I was like, what was their deal again? It's like, oh yeah, just magic. All right.
Yeah.
got it.
Because I was using with my build until the final boss, I was a strength and then a bit of faith. So I was using a few incantations, but most of it was just support, like buffing me and stuff. I did try the thorns one. That was pretty cool. You get in the Shadow Keep, but for the most part, I have a big hammer, bonk.
So then,
I guess what were our builds for the DLC? I guess we should go into that.
Mine was when I first got into the game. I'm trying to think what armor set I was using. I can't remember what armor set I was using, but as soon as I got further into it, I just had Rolana's armor on all the way up until Mesmer. Then I wore Mesmer's armor all the way up until Radahn. Then I just basically put on whatever stuff I could wear that was under 3 weight, so I could use this fucking finger shield.
I have a feeling that maybe definitely you, Brandon, and I have done like the same strategy to beat the final boss.
Just block, and it's so easy, so easy.
I did a strength and a bit of faith because with Elden Ring base game I went dex, and then I really struggled by about halfway, and then I switched to strength and then absolutely demolished the game, and then I got to the final boss and struggled. Then I went to a strength and faith build, and I was that for the rest of the DLC, and it really did. It did really well. I managed to get 99 strength. So it was a bit ridiculous, but hey, it did the job. And I even, once I got to the final boss, I finally went back and did Melania, and I absolutely rinsed her. But when you're level 222, probably at that time, you with 99 strength, 70 health, max 50 endurance, you're gonna slam into Melania with Mimic Tier. So What about you, Chris?
So, as stated, I was using like previous builds. So the one I did my initial playthrough was my Freddy Krueger character, which was basically a Dex like pyro build, because claws and fire. That's pretty much Freddy Krueger's thing. But that was pretty much scraps because as soon as I went in, I just like took off all the armor. I was like, right, just stuff in the DLC. But I pretty much just like kept the same build. I didn't respec at all. And yeah, I ultimately with that character I ended up using the new perfume weapons, which this was before the patch, so they were fucking broken. Like all you had to do for these perfume ones, which didn't use magic or anything, you think they would, like the consumables, but no. They just like swing in an arc and like there's multiple little explosions. But if you just aim towards the floor, if you're at point blank range, it just absolutely melts all the boss's health bars. For the most part. Apart from the last one, because just trying to get him to sit still long enough to hit the little bastard. Big bastard. it's hard work. But that's how I beat the last boss, my first go around. And then it literally got patched the day after. I was like, thank fuck I did that then. So, I looked out there. When I did it on my other playthrough, I couldn't do it. I just gave up. I literally ran out of rune arcs. It's like right, I had 50 of them, and he just kept kicking my ass. Trying to do a different build, refusing to use mimic tier, kept trying like new different weapons, and yeah, it didn't go well. So after like 50 attempts live, I was just like, I'm going to call it there, guys. I think I've had enough. I've been at this for 3 fucking hours. I've had enough. So yeah, I gave up in the end. But I did it with one character. It's like, I've done it. I've got nothing. I've already got the platinum trophy, so who cares?
Yeah. So are you all, so obviously we've already said his name several times, but do you agree with Radahn being the strongest boss FromSoft has ever released?
Yes.
Yes, with an asterisk, because I never actually beat the final boss in Sekiro.
But
so
I think
that's always going to be
is a different. I don't.
That's a mechanic thing.
Yeah,
rather than just difficulty.
I think Sekiro is a little bit different. Like I wouldn't class Sekiro in the same.
It's just bugged me for ages because I don't even have the game anymore. I'll give it away because it just annoyed me so much. But I got like the last boss of that. It's got 4 fucking phases, and I could do the first 3 without getting hit once. 4th phase just wiped the floor on me. Like,
I remember enjoying the last fight of Sekiro. I don't know why. The one boss in Sekiro I mostly had a hard time with was the Demon of Hatred. I remember that boss giving me a lot of grief.
And then there's me. I've only beaten the first boss of Sekiro.
But on Sekiro, though, I've had so much trouble with some of the mini bosses, like the Headless, like that one in the pool. Like that's given me so much grief, like trying to deal with, or some of the Headless in other around the places to try and get like the prey bees just to level my stats up. And some of those just so much harder than some of the main bosses in the game.
Did you find in Sekiro, like when you played it, you weren't really beating bosses because of skill? You were just finding ways to cheese them.
No, I was just doing whatever I can, like do the deflections and stuff. I was playing it legitimately.
Yeah. I didn't like cheat at all, but I just tried to find like AI loops. Like one boss, like the dancing Rin, the woman in the woods.
Rin in the Waters.
Yeah, that's the one. You can lure her out into like the corridor before the boss fight, and she sort of de-aggroes after a little while.
What?
And there's a couple of rocks that she can't hit you past, but you can hit her. So I've done that every time. I ain't ashamed. It's like doing anything wrong. I'm hitting her. She's trying to hit me, and she can't. I call this a win.
But based on that brief conversation there, it's making me really look forward to try and get the platinum for Sekiro, because I didn't realize there's the different endings of Sekiro. Like, I just thought it was just that's it until I watched like a few Vati videos like that.
There are 4 endings.
Yeah, did not know.
Yeah.
Well, technically, Elden Ring is like 7 endings, but like 5 of them are the same fucking ending. It's just a different character.
Yeah.
And then you got Rani's and then Frenzy Flame. So.
For my Elden Ring playthrough, I've been doing at the moment for the DLC. I have been going for the Dung Eater questline.
Okay.
Because I've not actually done that. I've not actually done that one all the way through.
Yeah, I did that because you need that to get the enhanced weapons trophy. You got to do that quest anyway. I thought it would look really good on paper.
I don't remember actually doing the quest for it.
I don't remember. Whatever.
I think it's my first time getting all 5 Seedbed curses.
Well, you get his great sword out of it, which is one of the ones you need for the trophy.
I think I killed him for it.
Maybe.
The thing is, I've got the platinum, and he's still around on my playthrough. So I'm like, I don't know what you two are on about. So. Or maybe it's been so long I can't remember. I don't know. I've got the platinum anyway.
Yeah, that's what's most important. We've got the platinum.
Yeah. Back to Shadow of the Erdtree. Getting massively out.
What I will say is when you first go into the DLC and you come out from the first where you appear and you look over the Shadowlands, it definitely gives you that first time feeling again when you came
That
out.
was nice having that feeling.
And
it's always that same thing when you open up a new FromSoft game. It's like, oh, this is nice.
You just saw like the shadow tree and just everything, and it was like, oh man, it's like I've just restarted Elden Ring but I never played it before. It was like that. It was really good.
See, I didn't really get that feeling when I first got into like the grey site playing. I looked in it and goes, pretty bland.
Yeah, there is quite considering like obviously the layout of stuff. There is just equally with just base game Elden Ring. There's still quite a bit of dead space, but they have made it a bit better.
I think that's open world games for you. I think that's just open world games in general.
But at least in like base game Elden Ring, there was even like if you just look at Leonia, for example, like not Leonia, but you know the first area.
Yes.
Like you can go down to the beach. Oh, there's a cave there. You just go up the beach. Oh, there's a catacomb there. Like there's stuff dotted around quite nicely. Whereas there's a lot of places in Elden Ring in the DLC which are just so open. Like the Greyside Plains. Like there's a couple areas you can visit, but overall it's quite dead space. But on the contrast though, there are two areas which I completely agree with in how dead they are, that's the Abyssal Woods and the Jagged Peaks.
Yeah, but I think that's more lore than...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of enemies in the Abyssal Woods, but most of that is just fucking rats.
And the aging untouchables.
Yeah, I've never managed to parry them and actually kill them.
Oh, they are... Once you sort of get it... I just love the fact that they way to beat them is you just find it out on a note. It's like, oh, I just discarded the thing they gave me and I could touch him. I was like, that's genius. That's really clever.
I guess... What did you guys think of like the world design of the DLC?
Yeah, I just want to expand slightly.
Can get to all of it.
Whoa!
I just want to expand slightly on what Brandon says. Like, I did find a majority of the areas quite empty. Like, there's lots of like I don't know coastlines and little peninsulas, and there's just nothing there. Like the Greyside Plain, like you got the little village, you got the furnace golems, but the vast fields, there's just nothing in them.
Yeah.
And the two I find the biggest offenders, both the finger ruins.
Oh yeah, that was bad. I did not enjoy those.
Have you done the finger ruin stuff?
Yeah, I've done it all. Yeah, I've done literally. I've left no stone unturned.
Yeah, so you beat the final the finger boss.
Yeah, I've done a video on it.
Yeah, cool.
But it's the fact that when you go to the two main finger ruins, it's just even if you look on like the Elden Ring wiki, there's like 3 or 4 items. Obviously, a real good talisman in both. Yeah. But there's just nothing there apart from like these just the worm enemies. But it's a lot of space, but there's just nothing there.
There's the 2 remembrance duplication statue thing.
Yeah.
That's literally it. That's literally it.
That's literally it.
Although I'm gonna use both of them on Radans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get both the swords. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. But as you said, Brandon, when you first look at the game, look at the map, and if you're like all of us, you were looking at it and going, "How the hell do I get there?"
Yeah.
Shadowkeep is the answer. So it's like 5 separate areas via that.
Like, it's not the easiest to work out map. There's like so much of it. I'm like, I think it was quite. I think like the actual design of like the areas is really cool, but I think the actual like. Getting to places is very confusing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a weird bottleneck. Like it sort of starts out open, then you get to Shadowkeep, and then it's quite literally a bottleneck. It's like you've got to get to every other area via here from now on. If you're not sure how to get anything, go back, look again, go down a random corridor, and there's the other 20% of the game.
Yeah. But then, it's an awkward one.
I mean, the area itself is fine. It kind of reminds me of Duke's Archives a little bit, with like the sort of quote-unquote staircase you have to raise.
Yeah, Duke Archives and the clock tower from Bloodborne.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the clock tower because I've not got there yet. But yes.
Yeah.
No, I go quite. I thought like the legacy dungeons in the DLC were really well designed. Actually, like
I liked how many legacy dungeons there were. That was nice.
Like Bellarut Tower was really cool. Shadowkeep, Castle Ensis, and obviously I don't know what.
Enera Lim or something like that.
Yeah, the final one. I think Castle Ensis might have been my least favourite, but other than that, I thought the other ones were pretty good, really good. And that's one thing that I think you can't knock Elden Ring, both base game and the DLC, is they know how to create the legacy dungeons and put a lot in them, a lot of secrets and a lot of good enemy placements.
Yeah, they've really nailed enemy placements like compared to the
Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2, where it just you turn a corner, you get pushed off, or other bits. Yeah.
So I found just the regular sort of catacombs and smithing dungeons. I really like the smithing dungeons. I think they were perfect size. A little bit of a puzzle behind each one.
Yes.
Not too big. Good, really good rewards. My only gripe is I wish there were more of them because there's only like I think 3 or 4 the entire DLC.
Yes.
Like, oh no, I wanted more.
I wish there was an actual boss with the furnace places though. That's what I kept looking around. I was like, there's got to be a boss here somewhere. I was like sniffing around. I was like hitting walls. Like, come on, it has to be a boss. It has to be a boss somewhere. No,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
thought that-
the
I thought that
ancient
initially.
dragonstones.
I thought that initially, yeah. But the Dragonstone and a unique weapon for each one is a very good reward.
Yeah.
What I did like about the dungeons compared to the base game is all the dungeons felt more unique in general. Even the catacombs, like unlike like base game, a lot of the dungeons just felt like rinse, repeat, or copy and paste. But like the dungeons in the DLC, a lot of them had a lot more thought put into them. Even if it was just like certain enemies or the way it's designed, it just did feel like they took more care on them.
So I have the same issue with the catacombs in the DLC that I have in the base game, and it's the opposite from the smithing ones. I just think they're too long.
I agree with that though.
Like they if not been shorter, they should like at least have like another checkpoint near the elevators. Like one of them goes down for about 4 sodding floors. It's like
Yeah.
I think that's the one to the is that the one to the Abyss Awards? Or is it
What
different?
the dark light one.
Right,
Dark
yeah,
light
that's-
catacombs.
Yeah, when I went to that catacomb, I was like, God, this has gone on for quite a bit. And then obviously I came to the boss at the end. I was like, oh, okay, let's just deal with this boss. Did it? Then all of a sudden it opened up to another area. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I did not expect to find the Abyss of Woods at the bottom of a catacomb. Did not realize that was the thing.
Yeah, I'll go as far as to say the catacombs in both the base game and this is like my least favourite part.
Yeah.
I just find a lot of them not fun. It's like, what's that? There's imps on the ceiling. There's imps just around the corner. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
they're
didn't
all
like.
fucking same.
Yeah, I didn't like the one where in the DLC where it's got like the big massive imp, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I didn't mind the big massive imp, like even like with the floating eyes, like I didn't find them really much of a problem. It was just the repetitiveness of just imps and
Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
not that interesting.
It's just the same insect designs again. Isn't it? It's just like the same walls, the same staircase.
Yep.
Like you've been to one catacomb, you've been to all of them.
Yeah.
It's like the DLC is like, yeah, you could have given us like catacombs, but you know, give them a fresh look, make them look different. And no, they really do look the same. Like the smithing dungeons, they're like they're totally different. I like those.
Yeah, like one's like the big tube is like a seesaw where you have to move it up and
Yeah,
down.
the massive plate thing. Yeah.
Because I moved it, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm missing items on the other side. I shouldn't have moved it yet, and then I had to redo it to get the other items, and then kept dying because of the 2 big like smithing trolls or whatever they're fucking called were just annihilating me because they just hit so fucking hard. You're like, all right.
Honestly, I didn't really fight those guys all that much. So I hit them and seeing how much damage they did. I even like hitting the weak points. I was like, yeah, you're going to be a pain in the ass to fight. I'm just going to leave you alone. They're pretty slow. You just run away from them. It's like, oh, so it's cut off.
Although there was one of the smithing golems that I'm happy that I did ignore, and that's the one pet in the slime.
No, best.
I kept that one. I was like, yeah, you know what, you're fine. We'll keep you.
So since we're on about areas in general, what's your favourite areas, lads?
Well, I already know my least favorite area, and that's the fingerings because of the disappointment. My favourite area, in terms of atmosphere, is Abyssal Woods.
I was about to say, well, you're going to say Abyssal Woods.
Yeah, I like Abyssal Woods and the Legacy Dungeon that's type of that, like the mansion place.
Mansion, yeah.
Well,
Again, perfect size, couple of puzzles, not too bad.
Well,
Really like it.
one of the things I realised with the Abyssal Woods and Midra, the boss of Midra's Manse. So there was a book. I'm still tempted to read at some point. The book's called The King in Yellow. I don't know if either of you have heard about this book.
You've told me about it.
So
Yes, I know that.
So it's like an old horror book from like 1900s or late 1800s. It's quite an old book. It's like a short horror book, and I have a feeling Midra is influenced by the book because he's the Lord of the Frenzy Flame, and he's kind of like the King in Yellow. I don't know. I think there's a few people who've like mentioned it, but I don't. There's nothing, no actual evidence. It's just people speculating he might be influenced by the book. I don't know. It was just something quite. I was like, oh yeah,
That's a valid point.
he is kind of like he's the Lord of the Frenzy Flame. He's a king in yellow, and like the the book is all about like kind of losing your mind, all like madness. I was all like, well, you never know. Anyway, it's just speculation. But yeah, Abyss of Woods is really cool.
I just love the atmosphere for it. The build up, the scarcity. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Because I bet all of us were on torrent and we're just like, oh yeah, and then he's just like, no.
Yeah, that was really strange. When it happened, I was like, what the fuck? But
Yeah.
then obviously lore-wise, it's like, okay, that's actually really fascinating. Because if you think about it, especially with when the DLC got released, people like lore-wise, like Torrent's with you through Poison, he's with you through the Scarlet Rot, and he's with you now into the Elden Beast. But the one thing he has is the inherent fear of the madness, which is just beautiful. And the Frenzy Flame, I think that's just beautiful.
And you get to relive Metal Gear Solid as well.
What with the sneaking?
Oh yeah, sneaking. And unfortunately, unlike Metal Gear Solid, you can't eat the rats that are there.
No.
Nah, I just slaughtered them all, and then every time I saw one of those aging untouchables, I was like, right, I'm killing you.
And then you didn't.
And I'm not leaving until you're dead. And I mean, most of them, it's not really worth it, apart from that one that gives you the talisman. But that's about it.
I don't think I've not killed any of them because I couldn't fucking do it. Well, it didn't help that the shield, I had the jellyfish shield so you can't parry with it. So it's like, oh, great.
I just put the parrying dagger on and just dealt with them.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, get out of the way. You're making my life hell.
I was just like, run to the next side of grace. And eventually I get there and then like, all right, cool.
Yeah. I did make a joke, and I even made it into a short because I found it funny. Like, you get there, like, to the church, and you just pick up an item called Map of the Abyss. It's like, which poor bastard had to do that for a job? It's like, here you go, mate, pen, paper, compass, just toddle off and map out the abyss, will you? I mean, I hope you got paid well for it.
Well, was it actually made when it was the Abyss, or was it made when it was still Midra's lovely Eden?
I don't know, but I feel sorry for the builders who had to bang that mansion together.
Well, it's been there when Midra was still sane. I don't know, have you seen the lore video about Midra?
No, I was just wondering how the poor bricklayers, like, who made that mansion, is like, how the hell did you get the resources? Did they have to come through the Dark Knight catacombs every sodding time, like, and let ship into sand and cement? That must have been a right bull.
It used to be like a flourishing Eden, and then lore-wise, you have to read the lore video. But basically, Midra's wife, we think, dabbled with the fingers and brought madness into the mansion, and then told
always
Midra
something,
to
isn't
the door. Yeah, because if you look at it, it's actually really sneaky. But there's one corner of the map where if you go to, you see like this tarp just covering some stuff, and if you look underneath it, it's fingers. So the three fingers managed to infiltrate, and that's what did it.
I know, this used to be a nice neighbourhood, and then all the abyssal rats came moving in. It just went there
It's the
from there.
Herald of the Flies. That's what did it. Honestly, the lore video is it's absolutely beautiful. Much better than Shabriri's, but it was amazing.
So, what's everyone's least favourite area?
Finger Ruins, just it had so much scope to be so good, but it was just too empty. And just obviously you saw it in the distance, you see these like fingers everywhere, like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I was hoping like there'd be at least a boss or dungeon or something affiliated with it, but it was just empty. I think that was a big disappointment.
I felt that with the area you go after you beat Commander Gaius towards that gate, I was like, oh, is there anything here? And it's just like 5 skill tree.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
I was like, oh, okay.
Disappointing. I was well thankful for the Shadow Tree fragments. I was like, hell yeah.
It was nice, but I thought there would be something significant, like either another boss or something. It was just more fragments, which is great, but I thought there'd be more. We have that massive archway, and it doesn't.
You got that big building. I thought, oh, we got another dungeon. It's like, no, because I spent like a good 10 minutes trying to work out how the fuck I get in it.
That's what I was doing.
You just don't. I was using torrent, jumping up the sides. It's like, there's got to be a way in here. We can't just have it dead end.
One of the most best things about that second bit is an artist, a music artist I follow. They've recorded the the little village nearby the arch. The music that plays there, they've recorded it, and it's fucking beautiful.
That's the hinterland, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it's Charmin Village.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's the one. Oh yeah, it looks nice, but again, bugger all there.
Yeah,
it's like
nothing apart from the mini Erdtree and the lore of America.
You're like, oh, a cookbook, thank you, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, that was a running joke when I was doing it live. It's like, oh, a new item, please don't be a cookbook. It's a fucking cookbook. It's always a cookbook, no matter what I'm going. I'm going way out my way for a fucking cookbook I'm never going to use.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying that a lot of the cookbooks in
so
the DLC
many
is
of them.
Just one item.
Like, can't they compound it together like into one book, like Yellow Pages or something?
Yeah, Yellow Pages.
That would be the Frenzy Flame pages, isn't it?
I'm about to say. Yeah, I think that's another thing. Like a lot of the cookbooks, it's just like by the time I think it goes with
so many of them though. It takes the piss, isn't it?
it goes with what I said earlier with a lot of the items. By endgame, it just feels a bit redundant. If you've been playing through it, yeah, okay, they're a bit more useful. But like by the time you get endgame, it's like, I'm probably not going to use this.
I mean, the only usable cookbooks are the pot ones.
Yes.
Just because you need them for the furnace golems.
Yes.
I started using them for a little bit because I thought, oh, it's a new like DLC item. I'll use the pots, but they take too long to throw. Like they weren't really viable. I found.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, bigger damaging pots, but yeah, let's stick with the regular ones.
Well, for the furnace golems, you got to kill them with the pots. Well, a few of them.
You do, yeah. You got to fight fire with fire.
It took me ages to figure that out because I was like hitting one of them on the way to the finger mansion. I was like, what the fuck? I'm hitting it. I was like, nothing's happening. I was there for like a good 15, 20 minutes. I was like, the fuck's going on? So then I went up the cliff, and then someone just said, oh, try item. I was like, what fucking item? I was like trying to figure this out. I was throwing things in the golem. I was trying to throw shit. I was like, the fuck is this? Like, what do I do? I think that's the first time I actually had to look up the wiki. I was like, I've got no idea what I'm doing now.
I think the worst furnace golem is the one just after the Manala fight, the one by the cliffside. Not because he's hard or anything. It's just waiting for his RNG. It's like, walk towards the sodding cliff, for God's sake. It's like, don't just stand there and walk in the opposite direction. Come over here.
Yeah.
Again, I thought the furnace golems looked cool, as did everyone. But I think they would have been better off, right, rather than having multiple of them. Just have one as like a proper boss.
Yeah.
I think it would have been so. Like, kind of like the fire giants. Because even like they look really good on the promo stuff, and actually in game they're not as big as you think.
No, I was
They look big on the map, and then you get really like bigger, and it's like they don't scale with it. It's just like they're not the same size.
Thing which I found real annoying as well is just this, like how pathetic the runes are that you get from them. Like, here you go, here's 12,000 runes. So like 12,000 runes for a fight that took me 15 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, thanks. I'm like level 250. It takes like 400,000 runes to even go up a single level to get like 2 HP. So whoopee shit.
Yeah. Well, now it's like for me, it's like 400,000. It's like, man.
I mean, you
just
bang them for a rainy day.
Thousands before I could level up. It was still annoying, like just how little runes they drop for how big they are.
See, I always like in every Dark Souls game, I use the consumable runes in exactly the same way. I just play the game normally, and when it looks like I'm getting close to a level, I just pop a few to just round it out.
That's what I do. I just saved them until I'm close.
Yeah.
Did you all drain the Shadowkeep and find the Soul Tree Avatar?
Yeah.
Yeah. I managed to drain it, and then I found this corridor. I was like, oh, it will take me up, and then I was going down, and I was like, where the fuck am I going?
Yeah, I was not expecting it, and then I saw the Shadow Tree Avatar, and that was quite a fascinating fight as well, to be honest.
And then obviously you beat it, and then it comes back, and you're like, wait, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I was getting worried it was going to go on forever.
Yeah.
I was getting really worried it was going to go on forever.
Obviously that item. Sorry.
I'd seen comments that it was like tied to like the shadow fragments you got. It's like, oh no, do I need to like find all of them, or is it a case of the more you find, the stronger it gets, or something like that? But no,
I don't know.
that was just bollocks.
Yeah, I think it like just does it 3 times. That's it. And
yeah, I wanted to like that boss more, but he's actually not that hard. Yeah, he's got 3 phases, but he's not got much health at all.
Rolana's fire sword just annihilated him.
Pretty much any weapon annihilates him. I had no problem.
Yeah, I did.
Anything with fire, and even Moog's. I used Moog's blood flame thing. Actually, that rinsed him.
As I say, anvil hammer, bang. Flowers don't like being hit with a big hammer. That's on fire.
But if you beat it, it gives you an item to use against the final DLC boss as well. But I could never get it to work. I was like I was like, nope. I'm still got the. He's like still like, oh, hello.
I'm surprised he gives you a chance to actually use it. I was like, just dodge the hug. Just don't take any chances.
Yeah, not when you're just trying to poke it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. What else do we want to say before we move on to bosses? I guess.
Well, are we all in agreement that like the finger runes are like the worst areas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on a lore aspect, I get it, and I understand on a lore and design point, I understand what they went with, and I get it, because if you do all 3, you have the finger boss at the end, and then you've also got some of the other little bosses at the end of it with the NPCs. But I think there's just not a lot there, so it's a lot of open space for not really much.
Yeah.
I really did like the foot of the jagged peak. Again, not a lot there, but
Yeah.
the actual like build up to the Bale fight as you go up the mountain, the storm just gets more and more intense. You're like, oh fucking hell.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, same thing with like Abyssal Woods is the fact that it's such a good area because it builds you up for what's about to come, and they did not disappoint. Whereas I was a bit underwhelmed by Meta, to be honest.
It was a bit underwhelming though. All the build up to Bale and like all the NPCs like shouting and curse you, Bale and all that. And then when I did it live, I just beat him first time with like heals to spare. I was like, oh okay.
I was sticking to my guns. I did not summon Egon, and I used no Spirit Ashes, and he gave me such a fucking hard time. He really did.
I did it because I've seen like how many people are saying, yeah, he's the hardest boss, but I think that's before. This is like day ones, and no one's got to the last boss yet.
He's definitely tough, but he's not the hardest.
I'd say it's the second hardest.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
I suppose if we're on the topic of bosses, we've got 11 to talk about.
Yeah, I think with a lot of this game, like the bosses, like compared to the base game had like 9 unique bosses out of like over 100 something bosses. There's only 9 unique bosses in base game Elden Ring, which is actually insane to think about. If you compare that to the DLC has a lot more, but it still does the same thing, and it reuses a fuck ton of bosses still.
Yeah. Did we really need like another Deathrite bird or another demi-human?
Or that many tree sentinels as well.
I couldn't believe that when after Commander Gaius, and I was like,
3 tree sentinels. I was like, fuck me, is it going to end?
Really?
I suppose lore-wise, again, I can see maybe the reasoning for it, but
I
didn't need that many. One would have sufficed.
Like the unique bosses of the DLC were pretty, for the most part, it was nice to have a lot more variation with them. But, it was still, hey, look, here's more tree sentinels. Here's, as you say, another deathbird. Here's this. It's like, here's this bear that you thought, oh, wait, it's back again. It's like...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the bears.
Fuck's sake. Like, you spent, how many years on working on this DLC, and you're still putting repetition? Yeah, okay, it's an open world game. I guess I get that. But, like, it is a bit ridiculous. It's like, oh, look, catacombs. Oh, it's a Death Knight. Oh, look, another catacombs. It's another Death Knight. Oh, another catacombs. Guess what? It's another Death Knight. I guess the unique bosses.
Well, where do we start with the unique bosses? Do we do them in chronological order, or do we just go for what we think about them?
I'll tell you one thing. The Divine Beast is not a unique boss. I'll just say that because there's 2 of them. So
that's the one I thought. That's the one. When I said in messages like that, I was pretty certain I'm missing a boss because I saw a video somewhere of a Divine Beast in a different area. I was just like, where is it?
The second one. I know where it is. I haven't beaten it though. But yeah, you can't. Divine Beast is not a unique boss, so that's taken right off the table, which is actually insane because I actually thought that was quite a really good boss fight.
The music was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Although the frame rate was awful.
I had no problem with frame rate. Was you playing on PS4?
I was, but I saw quite a lot of people talk about the frame rate on numerous different consoles and platforms. So I think people on PC and PS5 and
I know a lot of people were saying frame rates for the Radahn fight on PC.
Oh yeah, definitely Radahn. But I think
I played on PS5. I didn't notice any issues.
No, definitely frame rate. To be fair, I had more frame rate drop on Divine Beast than Radahn, but I still had it.
I kind of more on Bale, if anything.
I kind of wish I had frame rate drops when I did it live because then I've got an excuse for being better at the game.
Yeah, but either way, what else did you think about the Divine Beast?
I thought it was one of the harder bosses for me, but I think that was it's like one of the things with even like base game. If you're struggling on a boss, go and explore, level up, or in the case of the DLC, get more fragments, then come back.
Yeah, I think I just unga bungered and I just kept fighting it until I won.
I do think it's kind of weird, right? Because progression, like in the DLC, is similar to the base game. Like you get up to like the big tree and it tells you to basically piss off and come back later.
Yeah,
it seems weird that they've done that at like what is essentially the first like main boss of the game. And then it says like go back. It's like that feels like it should be about halfway through, not like right at the beginning.
The thing is, do you even need to beat the Divine Beast to beat the DLC.
No, it's entirely optional.
Exactly. That's what I've come to realise, that like if you're thinking about actual bosses that you need to beat DLC,
I think it's just R'Lana.
It's golden octopus.
Golden octopus, golden hippo.
Yeah. The golden hippo, Mesmer. What's it at the fucking ruins?
Can you skip Ensis to get to?
Yes, you can skip
Can you?
Ensis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there's a few other bosses. If you skip Ensis, there's a few other bosses, but I can't remember which ones they are. But yeah, I skipped Castle Ensis and went straight to Shadowkeep, and then I went back.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I got to like the back end of Renala's room, and I was like, oh, I've literally not even got here. I've just skipped it.
How'd you skip it?
You go through Bonnie Village.
Oh, okay.
You beat what's the scorpion boss? I forgot what it's called.
Romina.
Yeah. So you got what though? That's what 3 bosses.
Yeah.
And then
the
obviously
optional is Bale.
and then Consort Radon. So you probably only got like maybe 4 or 5 bosses you actually need to beat, and it's not even.
I mean, you can even do the same thing for base game Elden Ring. You just need to get 2 great runes, and then you can get to.
I'll tell you a secret.
Leyndell. Yeah.
You can get into the capital without even getting the Great Rune.
How?
So, and the thing is, I actually went there today because I realised I had two Great Runes I hadn't even activated. So do you know how to activate Melania's Great Rune?
Oh, off the top of my head.
You go to the Tower of Return in the Weeping Peninsula and go to the Divine Bridge.
Oh, okay.
So if you go there and then you play online and get someone to invade you, if they lower the lift down, you can get into the capital without even getting any Great Runes.
Fucking hell, that's cheap.
So you can get into the capital in like 10 minutes if from the start of the game, near enough.
Is that one of the speedrunning strategies?
I know. I saw it. I follow a page on YouTube that gives like loads of Elden Ring tips, and that was one of them. And I was just like, what the fuck? But yeah, like I guess it's the same with everything. You just go and explore, and I guess the progression's what it is with the bosses.
But yeah, so we've said Dancing Lion.
Good boss.
All enjoyed the fight. Yeah, I thought it was a good boss. Loved the music, loved the moveset, felt good.
I thought it was harder than Renala, personally.
Yeah, I think the movement was so erratic, and the actual different elements, I was like, oh fuck me. Yeah, R'Lana, if we just mention R'Lana, we'll probably move on to it. I felt R'Lana, once you sort of learned her moveset, is very, very simple. Very simple. It's unforgiving because of how long the combos are, but there's nothing. But once you get past that, it's quite a fair fight. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I didn't really have any issues with any of my playthroughs. Only on my first playthrough when she drops the moons on the floor because I wasn't sure what the hell were coming. It was like, and initially I was like, oh, fuck, do I dodge that? It's like, oh yeah, just jump, you idiot.
Just jump, yeah.
Apart from that, no, I never had any problems. She was fine. But I didn't find it to be like standout. I know a lot of people like her. I thought just okay. The one boss I did have issue with initially, I got it down eventually, but it took some practice. Was the Putrescent Knight? His combo.
That took me a bit of time, not too long.
Where's that one?
Oh, it's in the underneath the water. You go to
in the underground.
It's like a cave you go through.
Just before you meet Centrina.
Yeah.
It was pretty hard.
I've done it.
Can't. Literally the most southern point on the map, underwater.
Oh, right. Yes. Oh, I beat that second try. Oh, yeah. To be fair, I had a weird feeling that was going to crop up again. I don't know why, but I had this weird feeling. I was like, there might be a second one, but there never was. It was just had that feeling like there might have been 2 of them in the game, but I'm quite glad there wasn't.
Did you guys look at his weapon and just think, that's all for the cause? He's just putting some weight on, got himself an horse.
Close enough, yeah.
I did enjoy that fight, though. His combo, though, where he splits on the horse, like, that kept tripping me up. It's like, I don't need to dodge.
Yeah, that was the main one that gave me grief until I learned how to dodge it.
Yeah, you just got to wait like that extra beat because you think he's going to lunge at you. And he's like, no, it's his horse that's coming for you off screen. Because he always, no matter where you are, he always seems to be off camera. It's like, oh, fuck it.
Like that area, I didn't know you could go down until we were chatting on our messenger and you were like, here's my map. And then I was like, oh, there's loads of sites of grace there in the ocean. There's obviously something there. So I went straight back on and went there. I was like,
I found it entirely by accident.
I was like, I fucking missed this.
Way down. I was like, what the fuck?
I don't know. Like I said, the Skull Tree Avatar was interesting, but pretty easy.
Yeah.
We had the finger boss.
Yeah, that was the first try for me.
How'd you get on with him?
For what? We get on with what?
Amanda Gaius.
Oh, he was a bitch.
His pig was a bitch. Yeah.
I really struggled here because I beat him before the first patch, and he was completely broken, but in a bad way. He had a charge attack, and if he so much as clip you, it just wiped out your entire health bar.
Yeah, I had
It
that.
doesn't matter, like instantly death. It's like what the fuck has happened there?
Right,
And it happened multiple times. It's like you taking the piss.
that was like one of my funniest moments playing the DLC, because I sneaked around and managed to get there, and I was like, what the fuck? I've just got to the back end of Shadowkeep. How the fuck have I got here? And then I got onto that plains, and I was just like, I remember shouting to myself, I was like, yeah, I've skipped Shadowkeep, I'm exploring more. And then I heard the music change, and the boss bar came up, and I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I was not expecting the boss. I heard the boss, and saw the boss bar appear. I was like looking around. I was like, where is it? Where is it? And I see him just charging at me. I was like, oh shit.
It was the fact that I was like, yeah, I skipped it. Oh fuck, straight away.
I know that since the patch, they've not only they've changed his hitbox, so it's actually works as intended now, but they've also changed his positioning, because originally when you fight him, he's a fair distance away and comes towards you. So it now does that every time. Because before the patch, he was just right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's like that's a tad unfair. I don't even have time to summon anyone or drink the physic. Nothing. He's just right on top of you, run straight into you, one hit death. He's like, okay.
Yeah, I think I beat him after the patch. Because when I first got there,
I beat him before, but it was a case of mimic tier and me just running away a lot. It's like fuck off.
No, that's just my entire Elden Ring playthrough is mimic tier and run away and then eventually beat it.
No, I like to do the wombo combo hammer slam down, but I just couldn't do it. It wasn't worth getting anywhere close to him, because it's like, yeah, if I touch one pixel on that boss, I'm just dead immediately. So.
Yeah.
But that same sort of gimmick also happened for me against Golden Hippo with his charge grab attack. That took me so long to figure out the timing for.
Yeah, they patched that as well, because the Hippo's hitbox is weird. You could grab your angles it shouldn't have done. So,
I remember having a really hard time dealing with that grab attack. It was so unforgiving.
Yes, or as people have dubbed the Golden Hitter boss, Hippo, the angry supersonic. It
is angry supersonic, yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was fine. And then again, they repeat that boss.
Yeah, it's
minus the spines later.
Shadow Tree fragments, yeah.
And they're pretty easy.
Yeah, they are.
Stick to the side and they can't do much.
I thought the golden one was the hardest one, and then all the other ones I beat first time. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, just stay on your horse, just twat the boy.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Right, so that's 4 bosses discussed. Who else we got? How'd you get on with Meta, Mother of Fingers?
Oh,
First
try, but I didn't expect a boss. I just went in and then I was like, oh shit, this is a boss. But I just, as I always do, summon mimic tier and just wail enough hits and then it's dead. So
yeah, I steamrolled it and made a video of it because it was first attempt. It's yeah, fuck it. And it's only when before we recorded this, I was looking at a boss ranking thing, and it's saying, oh, the boss does this. It summons fingers. It's does it? I don't know what its attacks was. It does a big AOE. Other than that, I just smacked it to death.
Yeah, because I went through the whole thing not using any summons, no summons at all, just so I can at least sort of experience the full brunt of the boss. And yeah, Meta was surprisingly easy for lore wise what it is, being one of the one of the basically the gods sort of discerned by the what's it called? Oh, I can't remember what it's called. But the Elden Beast is Greater Will, that's it.
I'd say, considering the hoops you have to jump through, the whole side quest to even do that boss, that by right should be one of the hardest ones in the DLC, and it's just not.
Yeah, but it was so easy, so slow moving, easy to dodge, always get those hits in, and easy. Yeah, just easy.
Was it easy?
Yeah,
it was easy.
What? So we got Bale, Midra, Consort Radahn, and Mesmer to talk about.
You don't want to talk about Jury, the Elder Inquisitor, which everyone says is the worst boss in the game.
Jury was fine.
Who's that one?
That's a gank. That's all it was.
That's the boss before you go into the Abyssal Woods.
Oh,
it's literally a Dark Souls 2 boss, but an Elden Ring.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Congregation.
Yeah,
Dark Souls 2.
That's what you meant.
Yeah.
It's literally a Dark Souls 2 boss in Elden Ring.
It's okay. I don't know. It's not even a unique boss, because all of them become normal enemies in the final area, so it's not a unique boss. Well,
he's got a couple of unique attacks, he summons in minions and that. But it's classed as a unique one.
Yeah. Well, you got the we got the Scorpion boss. I forgot about that one as well.
Ramina.
Yes, Ramina. Yeah. What do we think to that?
Yeah,
I thought that was one. of the better fights.
I found it
a couple of
easy.
attempts too hard.
I didn't struggle, but it was it was a more interesting fight than a lot of the other bosses in the DLC.
Yes.
She didn't live long enough to be interesting for me.
I found it easy with one character and a lot harder with another one, and I don't really know why.
Well, it's just the way you play, because I look at like Ornstein and Smaug, there's been times where I've absolutely annihilated that fight, and then times where I've really struggled. Just depends on the build.
Yeah, and I Romina tends to, like, especially in like the second phase, sort of like fly up in the air a lot. So sometimes I feel like there was a bit of downtime with my melee characters. Like, get the fuck back down here and let me hit you. I'm flying away.
What?
Yeah, when Romina goes in the air and does like a spinny Beyblade attack, she didn't really do that for me.
Yeah, she did that a few times, like in a row for me. It's like, God's sake, come down.
You didn't want to be like, oh, it floats down.
I remember she was in the office that did. Pissing ourselves all weeks. My sweet baby angel.
You've graduated from Noom Gamer to Good Gamer.
Back in English.
No, I thought it was easier than a lot of bosses, but it just
considering where it is in the game, it's like pretty much the penultimate boss.
Yeah, but if you don't know, you don't know. You just kind of get there, and you're like, oh, I've done it, and then it's like you need to burn the tree, and like I was like, oh, I need to beat Mesmer, and I can burn it here and at Ballarat. Oh, okay.
I didn't realize. I just did it there.
No, you can't. You can only do it there. But I thought the way it's when you finish Divine Beast, it sounds like you can burn it there, but you have to beat that boss instead at the ruins.
I do think for where she is in the DLC, Ramina's perfectly fine for that area, like, difficulty-wise. Again,
she's got
fine with one character, harder with another.
Squishy.
Yeah, but if you're not prepared, like with like high resistance with Scarlet Rot, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Boluses does the trick. Well, right, let's go on to the crowd favorite then. Midra.
Well,
beautiful fight.
Midra was a fantastic boss. I think
beautiful fight.
I mean the best. There's two bosses that I think are perfectly, really well designed, and Midra's one of them. I thought it was a really good boss fight. And the fact that I didn't expect it to be like just an old man, and then he just like rips his head off and becomes the Lord of the Frenzy Flame. I just did not expect that. I was just like, wait, what's this old fucking man? Well, I was aware of Midra because of spoilers, but I didn't expect I didn't know that the old man was going to become him. I was just like, what's going on here? Where's Midra? And then I thought it was a really well paced and well designed boss.
What are you, Chris? What's Midra?
What I was going to say, what is it with Dark Souls and like Elden Ring bosses? Like they fight you when at like full force, and then they mutilate themselves, like rip their eyes out or rip their heads off, and somehow become more powerful. And it always fucking works.
Let's talk to George R. Martin.
Yeah, it's that concept of you're willing to throw away something to do something, like you're willing to make personal sacrifice. Like for Mesmer, it was to undo the sealing that Marika put on him with the serpent. It's just that sort of thing. Like they're willing to throw away everything so they can survive, which is lore-wise, which is what Midra had to go through because his wife said to live.
I just think it's very unfair because as I'm getting older and falling to bits, I ain't getting stronger every time I get a crank in my knee or anything.
Well, maybe you need to fight some people. Maybe you have to unleash your second form.
I do, but the police say stop it.
Oh, the polite notice.
Yeah. I mean, my strength stats gone up, but my finances are looking dire. Getting arrested.
I don't know. I want to make a joke here, but it's not the time. So
do it.
Jokes on this show.
You just edit it out.
No, it'll age this podcast very well. Although this podcast is probably going to be aged because of this DLC anyway. But anyway, no, I've like I said, I think Mitra was a very good, well-designed boss.
It's not my favourite, but he's pretty good.
Yeah,
I think he was in my top 2 bosses of the DLC.
Again, I had a game issue with him, as you said, with like Ramino. I just think it was too squishy. It was
he has the highest HP out of the whole DLC.
I didn't find that.
Yeah, he's got more than Radahn.
Really?
Yeah, he's got close to 48,000, whereas Radahn's got 47,000.
Well, his defenses must be shit then.
Yeah,
I never had any
problems. Well, he's just wearing cloth, so there you go.
Does that include his quote-unquote first phase?
No, it's not including first phase. It's pure when he's in Frenzy Flame mode, because technically that first form there's no boss bar, so there's not boss until he changes.
What to say? Both my playthroughs, I just cut through him like tissue paper.
Yeah, it's just because his defense stat is low,
well.
And the fact that he's not jumping around so much, so you can literally keep pelting him.
Yeah, there is that to be said.
Which is the opposite problem with what we've got for Bale, who keeps fucking jumping around the place.
So how do you guys get on with Bale then?
I had a hard time.
I had a hard time as well.
I had a very hard time because obviously I'm doing it with no summons and no spirit ashes. I had a very hard time.
I did it first attempt with my first playthrough, and then second attempt on my second one.
Is that with summons and Egon?
Actually, my first one, I didn't summon an Egon because I didn't realise I could do it. Because again, like I played it like near launch, so it's like nothing out there.
I couldn't find it when I first went in. I was like, "Where's this summon?" And I just died. I was like, oh, "Okay, great."
I didn't even know it was there. I saw it on the floor. I was like, "Oh, you can summon Egon." So
I did it. I did it my second playthrough, and that's the one I died on. Because initially, like, I'm looking for a summon sign like outside the boss door. It's like, where is it?
Yeah, but this is where it gets really interesting because the summon's on the inside. It doesn't scale the boss difficulties, which is a nice balancing thing for it.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Bale fight. Did you notice some of the intricate details with his design?
Yeah, he's got like a missing sort of. He's got a big chunk out of him where Platysax is.
Yeah, so there's three things with the design. He's missing a leg, he's missing his wings, and he's also got one of Platysax's heads in his neck.
I didn't notice that.
Yes, when you fight Platysax, you see Platysax is missing a head. That's because that head is still attached to Bale's neck. I only found that out today as well. I saw the art. I was like, holy shit.
And that's one thing that you can say about all these bosses is they like the actual design of the bosses are all really interesting.
It's just such tiny details. Like it's the fact that Miyazaki's gone through and been like, okay, we need to depict this lore. Let's just do this tiny bit of detail that 99% of the base will never notice. You know, such as the fingers in Midra's Manse. Like no one's going to see those unless you literally take an external camera and go underneath the tarp to see them, or even like read the description for like the Frenzy Flame torch because it's actually a baby. It's literally a fetus. It's just things like that. It's just incredible. Curse you, Bale. I think that's going to go down for ages. Egon's voice actor.
Yeah.
It's a cinematic experience. That's what it was. Another thing which I really liked about the Bale fight is, when he does like the big AoE like nuke, it's the fact that it has like a certain sound for it where it doesn't like sort of ring your ears, but it feels like a thud. Like it feels like it, if you had like surround sound or just like brute headphones on, like it feels like you're literally getting like thudded. The sound design on the Bale fight was incredible. Really, really was incredible. But I'm never going to forgive that sort of L-shaped flame laser attack. That was the worst thing to dodge. Hated that move. Hated it.
As far as dragon bosses go, he's pretty good. I actually had a harder time with the boss before him, the ancient dragon Sanisex.
I struggled a lot with that one as well.
Yeah, don't know why. I couldn't like pinpoint any reason why I struggled more. It was like it just seemed to keep clipping me every time I think I've just about dodged a move. It just that one stray pixel seems to get me.
Yeah.
I spent like a good hour just on that ancient dragon, just trying to be like, I just did. Yeah, like you, I just did not know what I was doing wrong. Yeah. It's not like it was hard. Its moveset just doesn't change. It's very easy to dodge.
I thought that was a good boss fight for me personally because I felt I was fighting it, I don't know, properly. There was like no cheese involved. I was just like actually learning his moveset, which some bosses you just don't. You either struggle with them for ages and still struggle with certain attacks, or you just curb stomp them. Yeah. You don't never learn. But this one seems to strike a really good balance.
Mesmer then. Let me solo him. Which, after I beat Mesmer, let me solo her. I respected him with Melania. When I saw he was like, oh yeah, let me solo him for Mesmer. And then I faced Mesmer. I then questioned the skill level of players in general.
Yeah, Mesmer wasn't hard.
No.
Really wasn't hard.
Like, Mesmer is my favourite boss from the DLC. I think it's really well designed and was actually generally quite fun. But
yeah, I'm in agreement there.
I think he's like probably the most polished boss in the DLC. But the fact that Let Me Solo Her was helping other players for that boss, like it surprises me. Like, I would say there were other bosses in the DLC that probably required them to help with them Mesmer. Like,
well, that's why Let Me Solo Them was born.
Well, but here's the thing: if you can't beat Mesmer, you're not gonna fucking beat the final DLC boss. So that's what also annoyed me. Like, it's not the final DLC boss. If it was,
I thought Mesmer was going to be the final boss because that's all you saw in the cinematics was Mesmer and the Shadow Tree. I was not expecting it to be Radahn.
Yeah. Oh, I got it spoiled like the first week.
Like, I dodged all spoilers. I'm so glad I dodged all spoilers.
Like, it wasn't even a week, and someone was like, Consort Radahn's final boss. I was like, fucking great, thanks. But yeah, no, Mesmer, I really like both phases. I like the design and the run up through Shadowkeep to him as a boss, and just even you look at like the opening cinematic or the trailer for the DLC, you see like his army destroy Bellarat Tower, and like it's just like, oh, and his armies across the DLC. He just had this great bravado and presence from start to finish with the DLC.
I did find though for Mesmer, for some reason I found his second phase was just so much easier than his first, because in the second phase when he does those snake attacks, it gives you such a massive window to hit him. Like you could just assault him to like heaven and hell when he's finished doing those snake attacks. There's such a big window for attack.
I thought that as well.
Oh yeah, well certainly on the first playthrough though, when you don't know what's coming. When I got to the second phase and that he went ape shit with the snakes, I was like panic setting. He's like, "What the fuck do we do?" It's like, no, run, keep dodging, because that combo does go on for a while.
First try, just because of like the basic the window and like his attacks were relatively unchanged. But one thing I've got to say about Mesmer though, I love his movesets. Oh, so cool! But bringing the swords, like the spears up from the ground, that was so cool.
I didn't find that cool. I found it annoying because it kept hitting me.
Weapon as well. It was so brilliant. I loved it. Loved it.
Those spears kept hitting me and it kept annoying me. It's like every time it's like, I've dodged it. Oh fuck. No, he is the best boss in the game, hands down. He's got the it's a game of patience, because he does have the long combos with the snakes and the spear attacks. So you just gotta run away, wait in a corner. It's like, you quite finished, mate, and then like go up and bonk him a few times. But
that seems to be the running theme for the DLC with the bosses, like with R'hllana, Radahn, and Mesmer. It's just, and even Midra. It's just like, just wait until they're done, and just once they're done, okay, I'll start assaulting you. Then I'll go back to dodging. Then that seems to be like the running theme.
Isn't that just From Software bosses in general?
I mean, some of them you can just, you don't need to dodge for that long. Like Ornstein and Smo, 1-2 dodges, then you can start assaulting them. Millennia, couple dodges, and then you can do it. Whereas there, it's just like this unbelievably long combos. Like even like to the point where Waterfowl Dance was easy to dodge compared to what they were doing.
Yeah.
I've always found it funny, like some of the attack animations in like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, when they do like these 20+ hit combos and nothing hits you, even though they quite clearly do. It's like you just dodge roll through them. It's like, no, that should have hit me about 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
It never looks right, does it?
No, but that's
that's the sad, yeah.
That's if you can dodge it. If you can dodge a ball. Yeah. What's the thing from dodgeball?
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah.
What? Ow.
I thought it was wrench, and I was like, is that right? Yeah. It is.
Oh, I made a sound alert on my channel. So.
I'm not surprised.
Such a good fun. There you go, kids. If you want to get practicing for Shadow the Erdtree, just watch dodgeball.
That's all you're going to be doing against the bosses. Dodge, tiny hit, then dodge.
Dick dive and dodge.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So who have we got left? Is it just...
We just have Consort Radahn.
Consort Radahn and the Mikolas.
Oh, what about Leda and all her allies like before?
Who?
All the, NPC gang fight.
The NPC gang.
Oh, yeah. Easy. Well, the thing is, if you've done a whole load of quest lines, you can just summon loads of other NPCs, which is what I did. I was like, well, I've done both of these. I've done Frolier and Ansbot, so both of them helped me. I was like, here we go. It's just like my team versus your team.
I didn't do Frolier my first playthrough, so I didn't have him with me. I just had one other guy, the Blood Worshipper chap, whatever the fuck he is. He was with me.
I had no one. I just nuked him.
What I did find was it Dryleaf Dane. I didn't know anything about. I didn't know how he worked at all. He was just that Morn Ruins. I was like, right, okay.
He doesn't have any dialogue. He's just ellipses. It isn't talking to you.
And then he's meant to be a boss fight, and I didn't know how he activated it. And then he just appears with Leader, and I'm like, oh, okay, right. You're a great character. You've done nothing, sat at ruins, and now you're dead.
Also, I quite like that. At least it didn't go off on a tangent and like talking riddles. It's like no bullshit. It's like it says nothing to you and then beats you up. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Horace from Dark Souls 3.
That's grunt.
Oh yeah. I'll see. With Morn, I broke his quest line. I don't know if you reviewed.
That's the one you got to do in Shadowkeep and talk to him and then.
No. Well, Morn's the guy who's like when you get to Bellarat at the beginning, he's just the simple merchant. He's just like, oh, I'm Morn. He's got like the really heavy armor that you get.
Oh yeah. I know. I remember. Yeah. And I booked up his quest line as well.
Yeah, like so, you know the enemies in the base game that have like I can't remember what they're called, but they have like all like the needles.
The angry prawn guys.
Yes. So that
Thank you, Shim.
in the DLC, there's ones that are that you shouldn't kill because they give you items. If you kill just one of them, you break Morn's questline. And I was going around on torrent, and I was like, oh, enemy killed. And then a week later, I was on a YouTube short. It's like, this NPC. If you kill it, it breaks Morn's questline. I was like, oh fuck. Oh well.
Yeah,
it's not all bad though, because you get one of the best armor sets in the game out of it. So
I also saw something that someone said about NPC quests in From Software games in general. It's like, meet them, kill them. Oh, I've done their quest line. I've got their armor. And I was just like, you know what? You're kind of right.
Yeah, that is literally the case.
Like, just kill them when you first see them and you've beaten their quest. You're kind of not wrong.
I suppose if you're doing it from a lore side, then you do everything.
Yeah, no, but if you wanted items, just kill them and you get all the items. You're not wrong.
Honestly, half the time you're doing it just so you can get their summon for a particular fight later down the line.
Yeah, that's why I did the Frolier stuff. Because I managed to find that out, and I just did it all before when I got to the Pearlescent Night. You just keep
I did not know about the quest.
dying.
I was just slightly too late to it because I did all the way to Trina before I could do Thiolia.
But there's another summon you can get for Consort Radahn. You talk to in Shadowkeep. I fucked that up as well.
What, Onspark?
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, I did a bit of it, but then I progressed. And I went like too far into the actual storyline, and I went back, and he just wasn't there. So it was like, great.
I managed to get both of them for Consort Radahn. So
yeah, I wish I did, because that's the run I failed.
Although I didn't even use them I did use Onspark on my first couple tries, and then I was like, I won't use it, and then I was like, I'll use Frolier, and then Frolier died like instantly. I was like, yeah, I'm not using him for this fight. They are shit.
Again, just like most other summons, they're just there to take the aggro off you for a bit. It's like, yes, target them so I can hit you.
That's right. So let's Consort Radahn. Let's talk about the final boss of the DLC.
I'm blind.
It's a chunky bastard.
That's all I can say about it. Like phase 2, phase 1 for Radahn is fair. Like obviously the hitbox is a bit questionable at the times, and the impossible dodge cross attack.
I wouldn't call it fair at all.
Really, not even phase 1.
No, because
phase 1 is fair.
Because it is designed to not be fair. Literally designed not to be fair. You're talking about the hitbox. Those hitboxes are actually designed to be bigger than they should actually be.
Yeah, that's literally the problem. Is like the hitboxes the hitboxes and the cross slash are annoying, but once you get past those and you just know to dodge, it's fine.
Like, I think it's a boss that, unlike every boss in the DLC, it was a boss that I think certain builds are the only thing that can beat it. And like my build, I thought my build was great for the DLC. Got to Consort Radahn, no, it did not work. I had to change my build, which is fine, but it was like, a lot of people just want to use their build unless I just like hit my head against the wall for days on end. Like, maybe I would have eventually done it, but it just was not doing it. Like, with how much health and everything, it just wasn't doing it. I did find
some of his attacks to be bullshit, especially in phase 2. The one that always tripped me up every time was the big AoE one he does. I know how to dodge it, but no matter like how far away I was from him, like how fast I was running, I could just never seem to get out of it before it hits me.
As soon as you see that first ring appear, you just got to run straight. That's all you can do to dodge it. Or you can roll.
I think like only like once during like my 3 hours of attempts, like in the second playthrough, I dodged it once, and every other time it hit me. So I just got to the point where, you know what, he's just stood there, so I'm just going to hit him. I know I'm going to get hit, so sod it. I may as well just do a damage exchange.
Well, there's always that physics which makes you take like basically negates damage because it's an instant impact. You're basically just taking 0 damage if you have that physics flask on.
I use my physics for like the health regen and max health or whatever it was I had, so straight off the bat. I did the one to like buff your like summons, because that's a new crystal tier, the one that regenerates your health for your summons and your allies.
Yeah, because there's one set of summons which are undying. Yeah, so you can constantly get the buff.
Yeah, I found that completely useless though. Like, I used it several times. I was looking at the health bar. I was like, is that even moving? He's like, I can't see any benefit from that. So I stopped using it.
Yeah, the Radahn fight. It is like the hardest from soft boss. It is very, very difficult. And as Dan said, like certain builds will get punished for that. So like for my bow only build, I've got no idea how I'm going to do it.
I don't think
also,
you do.
I think I can if I just dodge, because if you just know the dodge pattern, it's easy. It's just like certain bows. Obviously, you've got to do that build up, and I've just got to make sure I have enough arrows to do the fucking fight, because it doesn't give you a chance to chill. Like,
No.
it is a constant assault.
It is.
There is plenty of windows to get attacks in. You just got to learn to not be greedy. That's the main takeaway. Is just don't be greedy.
Because like
That's every other boss, though, really. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Because by I had to switch my build to like a bleed shield spear poke build with heavy armor and just negate the damage. And literally 30 minutes before we started recording this podcast, I beat it because I changed my build. But like my previous build, no, I wasn't even getting to the second phase. Like it just would not let me at least just do anything. I'd dodge out, I'd just constantly dodge, and it just wouldn't do anything. Eventually, one of his attacks would hit me. I'd try and block, and it's like, hey, you got 100% negation. No, you don't. It's like, it was ridiculous.
I find it interesting. Like when I did beat him on my first attempt, I hadn't got all the Shadow Tree fragments. I was only at like level 18 out of 20. On my failed attempts, I had it at plus 20. Like it made any fucking difference whatsoever. I thought, it'd be easier if I've maxed it out. No.
I was on
Doesn't give a shit.
17 purely because I didn't know about the golden hippos and all of the shadow pot enemies around the map. So that's literally all the fragments I was missing was from them.
Yeah. It's like, I've got more max HP. It's like, hooray. It's like, yeah, it doesn't really make a difference when he's like two shot, you know?
Yeah, I actually had max. I had max on both, and it was still a massive struggle.
Even though it was an absolute gauntlet, the adrenaline after
yeah.
you win. Oh my god, that's what makes it so rewarding. It's like having a fight and you actually feel like you're literally fighting for your life. It's a really nice feeling. Like not many bosses do that for me. It's like Millennia, Orphan of Kos, and Radahn are the ones that do it for me.
But I think with a lot of discussion about the DLC in terms of the difficulty, because people have been obviously complaining a lot about it. I think and I've seen, I don't know if either of you have watched the new Demography video, and I think a lot of my gripes with the DLC and Elden Ring in general, and kind of From Software in general, are kind of like definitely in like Democracy definitely mentions it in his new video, and I rewatched his Elden Ring boss video he first did a couple of years ago. I rewatched it before his new video actually, and I kind of agree with both. It's just the From Software's difficulty with their bosses is just not like it once was. Like it just feels like they're putting on too much difficulty, and I don't like. And if you're not, for example, if you're not using like Spirit Ashes, for example, you are giving yourself a disadvantage. Like the bosses are very much designed for you to use Spirit Ashes, which really shouldn't be the case.
I don't use them.
I guess I get that, but then you are actively putting a disadvantage on yourself. Like the game
say the
is
same thing about anything, which is cheese builds though. It's there in the game for a reason, but like I just do it just out of moral, because like in all the other Dark Souls games don't have Spirit Ashes. I just got into a habit of never relying on summons. Well, it's because the game's accessible. It's there as an option, so people become too reliant on them.
And that's a great thing because it's very accessible. There's a reason it's sold more than the entirety of the Dark Souls trilogy. Because it's so accessible. It's like you're struggling on a boss, well, just summon the Spirit Ashes. Oh look, I've now beaten the boss. And that's a great thing because it's so accessible, but then it's not, because like for more veteran fans, it means like I just curve stomp every boss by just summoning Mimic Tier, not learning the boss mechanics, and it's like, oh, I've got through the boss now. And then until there's a boss that really stomps on you with damage, like Consort Radahn, like that's where you have to be like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, which is that missing feeling, which I think a lot of people have, is becoming too reliant on the spirits.
And I think that I've been like, I used to be like, until the DLC, I was like, yeah, Elden Ring's in my top 3 From Software games. Well, and then recently I've been like, you know what? I think it's now middle of the pack. I think like past From Software games are far superior.
I'm still of the opinion of Elden Ring being my favorite, just because of the scale of everything, the lore, how much customizability there is for it. It's just far superior to everything.
I've been replaying Bloodborne, and a lot, like, you know, you can still summon for them a lot of the bosses there, but there's a lot more of me learning the bosses, seeing how they go, and defeating them without summoning. And the same with a lot of like Dark Souls bosses. It's like you can't summon for Solar's Cinder on Dark Souls 3. You've got to do that solo. Well, we're not. I know you can summon other players. I'm not talking about other players, you know. But I feel like since Elden Ring, I feel like I've got got worse at these games. And going back to like Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and even like Sekiro, I've got to get better at the games. I can't rely on Spirit Ashes or other players. I've got to learn the bosses. I've got to get good.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why, obviously, when I did my first ever playthrough of Elden Ring, I was like, okay, I'll use Spirit Ashes because it's something new. But then as I did more and more builds, I was like, it takes away the fun, because if you're cheesing a fight because you're having to rely on something, it just takes away the enjoyment, because it just doesn't feel like a Souls game when you're using summons all the time. It really takes away that feeling of overcoming.
But the problem with Elden Ring, it is like designed for Spirit Ashes, and that's the problem. It's like, yeah, sure, it takes away the fight, but it's a game designed with Spirit Ashes in mind, and that's
it's in mind, but I wouldn't say it's designed purely for it.
Well, looking at a lot of bosses in the DLC, it definitely is.
How?
Like look at Consort Radahn. It is
did him without.
I think I could have done it, but it's only because I changed my build. Like if I hadn't have changed my build, I don't think like I could have done it on my own without using Mimic Tear or using a summon, because he just dishes out so much damage and doesn't. Whereas like look at like what Slave Knight Gale, it feels very much like a one-on-one fight, and Slave Knight Gale is relentless, but is a fair fight.
Yeah, it's the climax of Dark Souls 3. Like he's the end. It feels like a real nice final boss. But yeah, I've always been against him, and I continue will be to this day. Like on all my builds, I still refuse to use Spirit Ashes because it's just in my nature. I know it's there as an option for the accessible players, but I just can't use them. It just feels like it takes away part of my playthrough if I do it. I know some people think differently, and I just obviously do what you want to do because it's your style of gameplay. But I just cannot use Spirit Ashes. I just cannot bring myself to use them.
I quite like using them personally. Well, I mean, it's content. It's there to be used. There's a whole new mechanic in the DLC to buff it. It's like trying to emphasize. It's like, please use it. We've took hours and hours programming all these like AI partners to help you out. Please use them.
I just can't bring myself to do it. I really can't.
Each to their own.
Yeah, I like to obviously experiment with them. If I could bring myself to do it, because it is like a whole part of the game, and you get to choose all these different Spirit Ashes. But essentially, all they are is just something to take boss aggro away. And if you're having to struggle with boss aggro, then you're just going to struggle with the boss in general. Then if you don't know what you're doing with them,
it is like that's the thing. Look at like a lot of past bosses. If there was nothing, because it's just you can't take away the boss aggro. Feels you're far more on edge and you're far more focused. Like take even like half the bosses in Elden Ring. If the Spirit Ashes did not exist, it would be a very different game. But at the end of the day, they're in the game. If you're not using it, you're giving yourself a disadvantage, and that's the way it's been designed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, like at the end of the day, I this is the thing. I really like the DLC, but I think it's just that when you realize with like the Spirit Ashes, it does take some of the appreciation of it away, but I still enjoyed my time with the DLC. I absolutely loved that first time feeling, looking over the Shadowlands, exploring everything, enjoying the legacy dungeons, enjoying my fights with all the bosses, using new weapons and items if I wanted to, like trying to maximizing my damage, exploring for the fragments and the ashes, and just I really enjoyed it. It's been great fun to come back, and it's been also great to finally get the fucking platinum for the game as well. It's been a great return, but I feel like From Software need to do something a bit like Sekiro again and move forward again with whatever they do next.
Well, Miyazaki did say that Elden Ring is still not what he wants. He said there's still some like tuning he makes, but so there is definitely going to be another Souls-like. But we're just wondering what in Miyazaki's mind would he consider as the optimal piece.
It's years away.
He's got to keep finding new ways to make poison swamp areas.
Yeah, more swamps.
Yeah. Actually, I'm surprised with the restraint he used in this DLC.
I was about to say, was there one?
There's a couple of little bits.
In Roa, I can't remember the name of the place.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Scarlet Rot one there. There was the Poison one by Castellensis.
Not much, though.
No.
Yeah. It's nothing like on the scale of Caelid. or the literal Lake of Rot or Blacktown. Like, he really likes those.
That probably just means we're going to get double in the next installment.
What, a whole game full of it?
Yeah. Oops. Oh, Scarlet Rot.
But I was also thinking as well when playing this, if you think about all the possible different biomes that can exist in video games, I've still not really seen a desert from the FromSoft introductions. I've not really seen a desert.
Yeah, well,
I think the problems with deserts is the mechanics they're normally using them in like other games don't really fit for Souls-like.
Yeah.
I think so, because normally having game mechanics like sort of overheating kind of thing. That would just be like another version of poison. Plus, deserts tend to be like wide and barren, and we already have enough of that. We already have enough open areas with like nothing in them. I'd say the closest we get to something like that is what we mentioned earlier, like the Gale fight. That's like a big sandy dune.
I think the closest one we had is Dark Souls 2 with the lead up to the Scorpion S fight. That's the closest thing to a desert as well. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called. The area with Deirdre Freya as well.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
That's the closest. Oh, Brightstone.
That's the
closest thing we've had for a desert biome. We've had all sorts. We've had volcanoes. We've had snowy mountains. We've had caves.
The thing is, volcanoes aesthetically look cool.
Oh yeah.
Deserts are just barren. There's just not there. I do find like a lot of games, in general, if there's a desert section, it's probably one of my least favorite areas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think we really need one. I mean, if we decide to do like, I don't know, an Egyptian themed sort of Souls and have at it, if you can make it interesting. And
I suppose the closest thing to a desert we've got is the Finger Ruins. Actually.
Yeah, there's nothing there. It's just dead. It's just death, dying, and decay, and schools everywhere.
Dead weight. Is there anything else to talk about then?
Do you think the DLC overall elevates the experience of Elden Ring, or is it just more of the same? Do you think there's any?
I'd say it's more of the same.
Yeah, is at any point in this DLC does it feel like, oh, this is way better than the base game?
No.
I like the boss fights more.
Well,
I do like the boss fights more.
Yes and no. I think it is more of the same. I think the fact that the roster of unique bosses in the base game is so disappointing, the DLC adds to it. But for the fact that there's there's nearly 200 bosses, and not even 20 of those bosses are unique. Well, actually, that might be wrong actually, because technically all those mausoleum bosses are unique. So, but yeah, I don't know the fact that maybe over nearly 200 bosses and maybe not even 30 or 25 bosses are unique is a bit disappointing for that amount of bosses. Like, yeah, there's boss repetition in every Souls game except Demon Souls, but it's what it. Actually, no. Scratch fucking Demon Souls, you got Vanguard twice. Sorry. So, yeah, there's repetition in near enough every From Software game. So, it's nothing new, but it's a bit like, yeah, okay, Dark Souls 1 has got like 3 bosses that are exactly the fucking same, and then a few that become normal enemies, but like, for how many bosses there are in Elden Ring, it's a bit underwhelming.
I'd say you get more bang for your buck, like with this one, because, yeah, it's got some repetition in bosses, but it's got way more. And you think of something like the DLC to like, say for example, Dark Souls 3, you got the Frozen one. There's literally 2 bosses.
Well, there's 3 bosses.
3 if you count the NPC, and that's a stretch. But really, if you break it down that way, it's like, yeah, you got a lot more than that.
You have to think as well, like how much did this DLC cost? It was £35, which is the same as like the combined DLCs of Dark Souls 2, the combined DLCs of Dark Souls 3.
I think there's more bang for your buck in this compared to past games.
Yeah, you get a lot for your money, technically.
But what are you saying, Chris?
I was going to say for the length of it, I'd say on average, for an average playthrough, you probably get about 30 to 40 hours out of this, which I think is perfectly reasonable. I've seen some people like say, 120 hours like playing the DLC. Is like, what the fuck did you do for 120 hours? How lost were you? What took you so long?
I wonder. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, for me, it's the fact I wasn't using Spirit Ashes.
Yeah, maybe. It's like, well, I spent 119 hours on console with Arm, 1 hour in the playing the rest of the game.
I guess that might be it, unless there's anything. Well, I know you like some of the music, Brandon. What are you saying that?
Yeah, some of the boss fight music, because I remember the base Elden Ring game, not really any boss fight musics are memorable, whereas the DLC actually brings in some memorable soundtracks, which is a very nice addition. Actually having some more memorable soundtracks, yeah.
I think the music in the base game is really good, but I think it kind of goes along with kind of what I've been saying. If you just curve stomp enemies, you don't really get to listen to it all much. But I actually think I've listened to some of the boss music in base game, and it is really good. But it just doesn't have much breathing room.
So I remember liking Rykard's. That was quite nice. And Radahn's, obviously, when he changes to a second stage, that's a nice change in tempo. But there's not really an awful lot.
I'd say even in the base game, for me, like none of the Elden Ring music like really jumps out. I probably couldn't even think of like a single track off the top of my head.
Yeah, because that's what when I first played it, that was my main gripe. Was unlike Dark Souls. Yeah,
it's like the ambient music in like the first area, so like an engrave and just the chill like violins and whatnot. But the actual boss music, I don't really hear it because it's just me going for fuck's sake over and over on top of it. It's like, I dodge that, you twat. So what do you reckon the next From Software thing is going to be? Shall we do a bit of speculation before we bugger off?
Yeah, we can do that.
I think they're going to go for another open world like Elden Ring.
Who knows?
Because Miyazaki did say he's getting close to what he wants, so I think he's probably going to take some of the Elden Ring formula. But I don't really know what else they can change to do it. Obviously, they'll have to have it as a unique story, because there's not really any scope in here for an Elden Ring 2, because it feels like quite a complete story.
No, there won't be an Elden Ring 2, definitely not.
Exactly, it's a complete story. Same thing for Bloodborne. That's quite a complete story. As much as everyone wants it, it is a complete story. Dark Souls is also a complete story.
No, there won't
so
be.
It's going to have to be a whole new species.
There won't be any more Dark Souls.
No.
What aesthetic would you like them to do? Because we've done Sekiro, we've done like Eldritch Souls, we've done Knights and Sorcery. So what about something like sci-fi, like Deep Space?
That's what Armored Core is.
Yeah, and that's still them.
Yeah, but I mean like in the style of like Souls, not so much Armored Core.
We mean
I don't know.
I don't really know how it would go, like doing boss fights in a sci-fi realm, because we know he likes the Lovecraftian and Berserk style, but how much can they sort of intermingle to make a piece that gives us that same sort of feeling as the traditional Soulsborns? I don't really know.
Don't think you know.
Yeah, I don't think you know.
But I think I think realistically it's going to be that same sort of medieval aesthetic of Dark Souls and Elden Ring. I don't think they'll have like a geographical bias, like with Sekiro was all like Japanese bias, and then Bloodborne was like European bias. I can't see it having like a geographical bias. I don't really know. I think it's just be another generic medieval, but that's all I can really think. Maybe more on the magic side. I'm guessing, if anything, probably more heavily on the magic side.
I don't know. Like, they could go anywhere. Like, the thing is with Elden Ring, it definitely shows how much people can break the game if they want. Or if you look at like the past ones, and they don't feel as broken as some of the things that have occurred in Elden Ring. That like you go onto like YouTube and like check out this broken build. You're like, oh my gosh, what have you done now? And
what have you done now?
It's just like it was just a common thing in general with Elden Ring, which is not a problem. But like it may, and the amount of times you look, I'll go on like social media and be like, it's like, oh, people who use strength, oh, you're rubbish unless you're using magic or dex or bleed, and it's just like it just doesn't feel like the past games were like that. They felt a lot more balanced in general, which is not a problem, but that's definitely one thing I feel with Elden Ring. It just doesn't feel as balanced, but maybe that's kind of the point, and they're slowly trying to get it to like that, but I don't know.
Some of the comments I've seen on some of the videos when they first launched, it's like, oh yeah, the last boss is easy, all you got to do is like duplicate souls indefinitely. It's like, you're not really playing the game, am I? So loads of people saying, it's like, oh yeah, join my game and I'll just give you this, and everyone's like 100,000 comments saying, oh yeah, I'll do that.
That's the thing
play the game.
With Elden Ring, if you're stuck on a boss, there's like the amount of videos where it's like earn millions of souls in like minutes. It's just like, well, yeah, if you're stuck on a boss, you can just go and do that. Whereas like in the past From Software games, it definitely felt more like you've got to work to try and beat bosses. But I don't know.
I don't mind finding like mini exploits or like AI loops or something like that. But when it comes to like duping souls, it's like, nah, that's just straight up cheating.
Well, my mate, he beat Dark Souls 3 the other day, and I was like, oh, well done. He went, oh yeah, but I modded it. And I was like, well, don't fucking count then. He's like, yeah, I've got 99 in all my stats. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. You've not beaten the game then.
Yeah.
I was like,
exactly.
I'm like,
it's taken away from the experience. It's the same as any other game. It's like, why'd you buy a game and then not play it?
It's like, what's the fun in doing that?
It's like you pay 60 quid for a game and then don't play it. It's the same mentality as the people who buy all the loot boxes or pay for battle passes or whatever, that kind of shit. It's like yeah, no wonder you're good at the game. You just pay to beat it.
Pay to win, yeah.
Yeah. We need to stop the episode soon. I'm going down my fucking high horse.
You what?
I'm getting on my,
Oh,
I'm
from
getting on my
the heat.
soapboxes. It's like, no, let's moan about microtransactions again. I ain't done that for months. I've not
That's
been able to
one
get over the
thing-
chest for months.
That's one thing we can always praise from Soft. They don't microtransact you. So thank you, Miyazaki, for being a kind director.
Cheers, mate. Now you need to go one step further and do like Lords of the Fallen done and just give you free content because they put like free randomizers and free patches and like stuff in it, which is fucking cool.
Well, they did put like some free content for Elden Ring. Like, well, I don't think any of us have used it, but like multiplayer battle arena, they did add that in.
Yeah, never use it.
That's what I mean.
Doesn't interest me, yeah.
I don't think any of us have used it, but they did add that in for free.
Yeah.
So, whereas like all the other DLCs, you got to buy it. All the other games, you got to buy it. So,
Yeah. Well, they did that way back with Dark Souls 1. They added the multiplayer arena in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
The gazebo of stoicism. What a name.
you sort of beat Artorias for it.
Yeah.
Or you can just use that thing they patched in, like that area, to just break the game in half by skipping everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably about it then.
Yeah, it's been a
Alright,
pleasure.
Well,
As ever. Right, well, before we go, chaps, for the final time, for real this time, not like that fake last episode.
well.
What are your plans for the near future?
PhD, 4 more years to get through. That's all I'm focused on. Is why I'm not streaming anymore. I don't get time anymore.
I think you'd have an easier time if you get a spirit summon in to do your exams for you, and then you can stream.
Just get mimicked here. Yeah, just
Yeah.
abuse that.
Exactly. They won't know the difference. I probably wonder why you're sort of lilac colour, but apart from that,
Lilac
it'll be fine.
covered and suffer no debuffs and never get sick.
Yeah.
For some reason, like, I don't wear my clothes properly. So, say for example, you give me a pen in my right hand, but I'll just use my fists.
Yeah, I'll be once again doing the National Free Peaks Challenge at the end of August this year. So I'll be doing that again for charity. So I've been training a lot, like 3 to 4 times a week. Other than that, I'm going away a few times end of the year. Yeah. And get with me if you're interested in seeing what I'm up to. Just follow me on Instagram. I know there's like I said at the beginning, all my Japan pictures are there. Got a few other things, and but at the end of this month I'm going away a few times. Obviously doing the free peaks, so I'll be putting some of that on. But it's been a bit dry since Japan. I've not been away for nearly 5 months, and I'm feeling it now. I'm like, I need to get away. I need to get away.
5 months. I haven't been away since 2010.
What is this? Go away. What is this grass?
Yeah.
Well,
Don't know what it is.
Well, I'm going away for bank holiday weekend, and it's not even costing me. Where I'm staying is not even costing me £100. I was like, cool. And then I'm going like London at the end of at the beginning of October, and that's like costing me the same amount of money. It's for where I'm going away at the end of this month. It's ridiculous. I did get like £25 off, so I was like, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Got to find those deals.
Well, I'll be doing the same old shit.
What's that?
Well, I'll be streaming and working.
What's that?
I'm going to be hitting. I will be 40 in a few months' time, so I'm too old to change my ways now. I'm setting my routine. I'm happy.
Bloody hell.
Getting old.
Getting old, yeah.
I like how you said that, and I just moved, and both my shoulders just popped.
Getting old, Brandon.
Yeah, you've got Chris pushing 40. I'm pushing 30. Dan is 30.
Yep. Well, at least that's why I went Japan to like drown out the pain that I'm now 30. I was like, at least I do it in a country I've always wanted to visit. Like, oh no, I'm 30. Oh look, an anime shop in Japan. Oh, this at least helps the pain. Well, yeah. Shout out to Retro Smash. Those boys are amazing.
They sure are. You know they're good because it's the only other podcast I listen to. Well, it's the only podcast I listen to.
Well, I used to listen to loads of podcasts, but I don't have the time now, so I only listen to probably 5 podcasts. I listen to my favourite ones, and Retro Smashed are one of them. So
Yeah, and I'm only biased because I've mentioned my name several times.
they shouted all our
And a good
names on their latest one as of this recording.
Awesome. Oh, I need to catch up. I'm a couple of episodes behind.
Yeah, because I messaged some of them straight after I listened to it, and it made me laugh because it made me laugh.
Have you been wearing your Retro Smash t-shirts out and about? Okay.
I have been.
If you look closely on my new YouTube thumbnails, that's the shirt I'm wearing.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm sure you can find us on social media if you're interested in our individual lives. You can catch Chris or Spanky streaming, and maybe you'll hear us again soon. Who knows?
When the next From Software game releases.
Who knows?
Yeah, when we have another Souls like, we might be back. So I can moan and tell Bobby Cotter to fuck off a bit more.
I guess. Well, I guess never say never.
You just said it twice.
Never say never.
That's
That's 4 times now.
Never, 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 never.
Apparently, if you say it 3 times, nothing happens.
Yeah, you gotta say it 3 times in the mirror.
All right, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's what I'm
Michael
looking for.
Keaton, what are you doing here?
Right.
Bye, guys.
It's funny because you started off saying it was hot, and now I'm starting to get real warm in this room.
I'm sweltering something fierce.
I am now. God, my legs.
We still don't know how to finish an episode.
Go watch Deadpool and Wolverine. No, bugger off.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.
And victory achieved.